Hello guys, welcome back to our React tutorial series. In this video, we're going to talk about hooks and why hooks replaced class components. When we talk about hooks, what comes to my mind is how it's changed everything. If you've ever struggled with class components, life cycles, or even managing states in React, then this video is going to be a savior for you. Hooks makes React development simpler, cleaner, and more powerful. But I want to ask a very simple question. Why did React move away from class components, and how does hook fix the problems? Well, that is why we're having this video, and this video is going to break it down for us. Before React hooks, we had to use class components to manage states and even lifecycle methods. But class components had some major issues. We'll talk about the verbose and hard to read. Class component is very hard to read. It's very difficult to manage states in class components, and of course, in a situation where you have a very large application, managing states manually becomes a problem. Now let's talk about what actually was wrong with class components. We say it's too much boilerplate. Before React hooks, we had to use class components to manage states and lifecycle methods, but class components had some major issues, which is what we're going to talk about now. So we say the class component has too much boilerplate, so it has a lot of code just to perform one single operation. And we also say the class component uses the this keyword, which is of course very annoying and often causes error because you always have to use these keywords to make references. And we say class component is harder to read and maintain. In a case where you have a very large application, you need to write all your states manually in all your pages, and you need to manage them. It becomes a very complex issue. But on this other hand, we say React hooks has come to solve these whole problems. And how is it solving the problems? It's making our code simpler. It doesn't have to use this keyword, and of course it makes our code better and reusable, which is of course the core importance of React.js, building reusable components. If you look at the code we have here, this is a sample code which helps us to fetch data in our page. From what you can see a class, a user profile class with your constructor and your lifecycle method. This sample code was just written to make an API call to fetch user data. But what are the issues with this code? We must use multiple lifecycle methods like component did mount, component did update, component will unmount, just to perform one action. And of course, you can also see how the logics are scattered, which is making it harder to track. But in React 16.8, hooks were introduced to fix these problems. Hooks let you use states and lifecycle method in functional components, so you don't need to rely on class components anymore. This is a class component example, which is now rewritten in a functional component. You can see we have just the component user profile with our hook useState, which is holding our state and our setter. And of course, we're using another hook, useEffect, which is fetching the data whenever the page gets mounted. So why is this better? This is better because we do not need to rely on the constructor this.state, and of course one clean function is handling everything, and it is easier to read. Look at this, it is very easier to read compared to what we have here. And from what you can see here, we have component did mount and all of that, but in this case we have useEffect, which is replacing component did mount and component did update. So whenever the component loads and there is an update to the component, the useEffect does all the work, helping us from writing component did mount and component did update lifecycle methods. And you can also see that the React hooks keeps related logic together, and of course no unnecessary lifecycle methods. We just have the useEffect hooks doing all the work for us. If you have been following up in this series, you realize that from the beginning we've been working with functional components. The only time you might still see class components is in old code base, but moving forward you will always see functional components in modern React.js. So what are your key takeaways in this video? Always have it in mind that React hooks replaced class components because they are simpler and more powerful. The useState replaced this.state method, and the useEffect replaced the lifecycle method like component did mount and component did update. Functional components plus hooks gives you a cleaner and a better code compared to class components. And that is why React moved away from class components to hooks. Hooks make development easier and your code cleaner. In the next video, we'll dive deeper into useState and useEffect and every other React hooks we can handle. So guys, if you've not subscribed, please subscribe, like and share. Turn up your notification for more React content.